again, and then you have an award to give out afterwards.
Okay. Yep.
Good evening, Governor and Lieutenant Governor. Thank you very much for doing the town hall community meeting. It gives everybody a chance to get their questions and interact. When even the Lieutenant Governor ran 3 years ago, you promised to implement the generally accepted accounting principles, which is fiscal financial applications approved by accountants all over the world, but was not done here in Connecticut. Could you just give us a quick overview on the impact of that implementation?
Sure. Generally accepted accounting principles is what is required under state law of all municipalities and all boards of education to report their financial results in the state of Connecticut. But in the state of Connecticut, until I became governor, and the lieutenant governor became lieutenant governor, state government exempted itself from that. The first official act that I took, having been sworn in on January 5th of 2011, was to go to the office and sign the executive order that required all future reporting to be done, which is GAAP compliant. Now, you might say, well, what does that mean? Generally accepted accounting principles would have prevented many of the mistakes that Connecticut made over a long period of time. For instance, generally accepted accounting principles would have required that when governors made promises to pay people in the future, pensions and other benefits, that they actually had a funding vehicle in place. So that when one of my predecessors entered into a 20-year contract guaranteeing post-employment benefits, at the same time he also entered into an agreement that he wouldn't have to fund that on an ongoing basis. Under GAAP, that wouldn't be tolerated. And the treatment that Connecticut would have received in Manhattan on Wall Street with respect to its bonds would have prevented that kind of behavior. In point of fact, Connecticut, when Nancy and I came into office, had the worst funded pension plan in America. And what they did was they pushed all the funding way out past the time that the bulk of the retirements were going to take place. So that we would have gone from about an $850 million a year payment towards our pension obligations, and it would have spiked with two large balloon payments of about $4.4 billion, which means that at that point in the future, and I don't remember exactly, but it was 10 to 12 years away, that some other governor and some other legislature would have kicked the can down the road and done the same thing that other people had done in the state of Connecticut previously. We put a stop to that. It can't happen. And in point of fact, one of the things that we had to do as a result is to begin properly funding our pensions right away. Now, in doing that, we've been in a position to take advantage of some substantial growth in value on Wall Street, collectively over the last 3 years, that we would have missed if we didn't begin doing it when we did it. In point of fact, with respect to the surplus this year, I'm calling for $100 million of that to go into the underfunded pension plan, because it has an effective value of $430 million. And you say, well, how is $100 million worth $430 million? Well, it's the actuarial assumption with respect to the return on investment you expect to get. All of which is compliant with and supportive of generally accepted accounting principles. So as I stand before you as governor, having first by executive order instituted general accepted accounting principles, and then got the legislature to write it into a law, having done that, there's no going back. And having done that, we've made progress in our overall debt in the state of Connecticut. Debt, the total obligations owned by the state of Connecticut, is $11.6 billion less today than the day I took office. And something like OPEB, which is other post-employment benefits, it's the insurance and other benefits that retired employees get, which had a $36 billion hole in it, has closed that hole by over $16 billion. Now you say, well, that's 16, well, how come the total savings is less than 11.6? Well, one of the things we did was we recalculated what a reasonable expectation with respect to return is. We did that because we believe that you should tell the truth to people. And that's what GAAP is all about, transparency, and telling people what you're spending today, what you're going to spend in the future, and the fact that you're putting the money in the bank so you can spend it in the future. We need to be GAAP compliant, and we are now. Thank you very much.